Hey everybody, Josh Peck here. Well, something big has finally happened, something that I've been writing and talking about for about 11 years now, over a decade. And I think we're finally starting to see the beginnings of it. Do you remember, some of you who have followed me for quite some time probably remember my book, Quantum Creation. And I've written and talked about it since then too, but this idea called semi-theory, and it has to do with the cortical field and corticons in our brains and how they could be manipulated. These hypothetical particles of consciousness. Now, this wouldn't have anything to do with the spiritual side, with the soul. This is just physical. What physical processes happen in the brain to maybe produce isn't the right word, but to activate consciousness in a way that we can, move around our bodies and we can move around in this physical world that we live in. There's been a major development about this, and if you're brand new to all this, don't worry, I'm going to break it all down. But believe it or not, an Australian company called Cortical Labs, that's right, Cortical Labs, has now made a new type of computer called the CL1. And this is the first computer that uses living human cells to work. I'm going to give you a simple explanation of what it is, why it matters, and then I'm going to share with you some information that I've written about before that gets into semi-theory, C-E-M-I, and why this is so dangerous, and why this might be the vehicle that demons are looking for, or that Satan himself is looking for to infiltrate our world even more than they've been able to in the past. If you're brand new here, please subscribe, click the bell to turn on all notifications. By the way, I'll mention too, if you sign up at dailyrenegade.com, you get early access to all of these videos that I do. And also you, for the videos that it applies, you get the full video, because a lot of times I only put half a video, for censorship reasons. YouTube has been a little better lately, but I still don't trust them. They've been pretty bad at that in the past. But also at Daily Renegade, I have a PDF that you can download of this video that has all the citations, all the information, everything written out, kind of like a blog post, but it's in a PDF, so you can download it and save it to your computer, then you have it forever. Or if you don't want to download a PDF, you can go to JoshPeck.substack.com, and you can read it on a webpage, basically. It's like a blog. And it's got all the information and everything on there. And also the benefit of that is you get the audio-only podcast version of everything that I do. So the best thing to do is just to pair those two together, get a Daily Renegade subscription and a Substack subscription. And all the information to that is in the description below. Also, check out all the other links. There's some really good stuff in there. Okay, so this Australian company called Cortical Labs, they made a new type of computer that uses brain cells. A basic rundown of semi-theory, and I'll get a little bit more into it in detail after I go through this, but the basic idea is that, it's a question of consciousness. What is consciousness in the physical side? And scientists don't have an answer for that. Now, as Christians, we see consciousness as our spirit or our soul. That's what animates the body. It's not that you have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body, so the body is like the vehicle. Your spirit or soul, however you want to word that, is you. That's you. I would probably say spirit. Your spirit is what animates your body. So your spirit is really the conscious one. But on the physical side, that consciousness has to manifest some way, and scientists don't really understand that. So the idea is that there might be particles, a specific kind of particle, and a specific kind of field. And a field is just where these certain particles are. So think of the gravitational field. If you're on Earth, the gravitational field has a certain amount of strength. If you're out in the furthest reaches of space where there's nothing around, the gravitational field there is a lot weaker. If you're by a black hole, the gravitational field is a lot stronger. Every particle has a field, every fundamental particle, which is the tiniest of the tiny. So photons, the particle of light, they have the electromagnetic field, so on and so forth. Well, the idea is maybe consciousness has a field as well, and that field produces the hypothetical particle called corticons, and this field would be called the cortical field. So it's a theory. But what's strange is, like, I've written about what if they discover corticons at a place like CERN and they actually learn how to manipulate the particles, because once they discover a particle, they can learn how to manipulate it. Would they then be able to produce artificial consciousness? And then I take that a step further in some of my writings, specifically quantum creation. I talk a lot about that, which you can get that at prophecywatchers.com. But the idea is, then, if they can manipulate that and put it into a machine, well, now we've gone from artificial intelligence to artificial consciousness, and who's to say that that consciousness is truly artificial? Maybe demons are, or fallen angels or whatever, are utilizing those corticons and are actually, and so maybe it's actually their consciousness, and it's not just artificial and out of nowhere. So I thought that the path that this was going to happen, if this was ever discovered, that it would be at a particle collider like CERN or something like that. But it seems like the way that it's going now is they bypassed that. Corticons, as far as we know, still have not been discovered, but they've kind of bypassed that because now they're just using human brain cells that already would be able to produce and manipulate corticons, but now they're using those human brain cells in machines. So, and again, it makes us wonder, who's to say that fallen angels and demons aren't manipulating this? Who's to say that it's actually just a computer and nothing more? I've wondered that about artificial intelligence as it is today. Who's to say that demons can't be manipulating that? Well, especially if you get human brain cells involved, which would naturally be able to utilize corticons if they exist, and we wouldn't even have to know about them. Just like the moon utilizes gravity, and we can use that gravity to land on the moon, or whatever, without us having, like we can manipulate gravity a little bit without us having to actually have discovered the graviton yet, because we haven't actually discovered the graviton yet. So it's kind of the same thing. So again, this Australian company, it's called Cortical Labs, which is really interesting. Again, I've been writing about the cortical field for about 11 years now. Cortical Labs made this new type of computer called the CL1. It's the first computer that uses human cells, living human cells, to work. So here's just a simple explanation of what it is and why it matters. So what is the CL1? The CL1 is a biocomputer that combines human neurons, which are brain cells grown from stem cells, with computer chips. This mix creates a system that can think and learn a bit like a human brain. It's called synthetic biological intelligence. So again, these would be using corticons if they exist. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this company is called Cortical Labs, just like the cortical field. Well, what can it do? The CL1 is good at solving tough problems. For example, it can learn to play games faster than some advanced artificial intelligence systems. It's programmable, so it can be used for many different tasks. And why is it special? Well, unlike regular computers, the CL1 uses living cells, which makes it unique. And of course, they say that it could lead to new ways of building smarter and faster technology. But again, this is living cells. Doesn't this sound like the image of the beast? Because in there it says that in Revelation, in the prophecy, it says that the image of the beast, it actually has life. It has like breath, and it has life. And that word that it uses in the original language, it's the same word that it uses for all sorts of organic life, like natural organic life, like humans. It's the same word. So is this a precursor to the image of the beast? Faster technology. Now the availability, here's what's scary. Cortical Labs started selling the CL1 in the summer of 2025. So right now, basically. Each unit costs $35,000, and they've already shipped 115 of them so far. Now, $35,000 sounds like a lot to me and you, but that's really low in the grand scheme of things, especially with a brand new technology like this. That's really, really low, meaning this is going to be widely available, which means that it must be cheap. It must be cheap to produce, and there's demand for it. They've already shipped 115 of them so far. So this is absolutely insane that these things are being shipped out. These might be little demon boxes. Like, you ever hear that what is it called, the Dybbuk box from Jewish that Jewish thing? uh Totally crazy story, but it kind of makes me think of that, because these brain cells, there's no spirit in there. See, that's the thing. What's animating these brain cells? What's making them work? Because if you have just a body without a spirit in it, it's dead. It doesn't do anything. There's nothing it really can do. So for it to be animated, for it to think, I mean, they say think, but is that what they really mean? For it to actually be able to do anything, what's the battery? What's the software? That's a good way of looking at it. The brain is hardware. Like, the actual brain is just hardware. It's like a computer. But without software, that hardware can't do anything. It's just dead in the water. If you take all the software out of your computer, it can't run, it can't function, it can't do anything. Your spirit is like the software that animates it. So what is the software that's animating these brain cells? Where is that coming from? Well, I don't think it's God, and I don't think good angels would have anything to do with it. Obedient angels wouldn't have anything to do with it. So that leaves Satan, demons, fallen angels. And it's really wild to think about this. Hey everyone. Concerning the economically unstable times that we live in, it is a great idea to convert some of your savings into real money. Now, there is a big difference between real money and what we call money, which is actually currency. So our dollar is currency, which fluctuates. Real money, like silver, is a store of value over time. The best way to think of it is like this. If you had saved $1,000 in cash back in the late 60s, the late 1960s, that $1,000 would still be $1,000 today, but it would buy you significantly less today due to inflation. Now, if you saved that same $1,000 in silver back in the 1960s, it would be around $28,000 today. So one of the best ways to protect your purchasing power is in real money, more specifically, silver. Now, you can buy and have the metal shipped discreetly to your door, and what most people don't know is that you can actually convert your IRA or even your 401k into physical silver rather than having all your life savings tied up in the paper fiat system, which is, of course, subject to hyperinflation. So go to dailyrenegade.com right now and click on the Cornerstone Asset Metals banner and sign up to get your free silver report. One of the financial experts will speak with you and find out the best way to protect your savings going forward in these uncertain times. You can also click on the link in the description below that goes directly to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Make sure you tell them that Josh Peck at Daily Renegade sent you. It is time to stop trusting the evil beast financial system of the world and protect your assets today. So, like I said, let me get into a little bit of semi-theory, so you guys understand where I had thought that this was going to go. And it's amazing that they found this shortcut where they don't technically need to manipulate corticons. They can just use lab-grown cells that they got from stem cells and use those. It's crazy. So semi-theory, which stands for conscious electromagnetic field theory, is at the core of this discussion. And again, if you want either a PDF or if you want something that has all the sources, I've got tons of sources that I cite here. Actually, let me see how many there are. Throughout this whole thing, I have like 17 sources. And I think almost all of them are links that you can actually click on and read articles and stuff. So if you want that, best place is dailyrenegade.com, because then you can download the PDF and have it forever. But if you want it on Substack, where you don't want an extra file on your computer, joshpeck.substack.com, I got you covered there. But this theory suggests that our consciousness, which defines our self-awareness in the physical realm, originates from corticons. And these hypothetical particles within our brains interact with a quantum phenomenon known as the cortical field. Again, it's hypothetical, but while semi-theory does not delve into spiritual aspects like the soul or spirit dimensions, it presents a thought-provoking perspective on our cognitive existence. And if proven true, the implications can be really significant and unsettling. I'm going to talk a little bit about how this could be weaponized. So, to comprehend the significance of semi-theory, one must first grasp the fundamental principles of quantum physics. So, contrary to common belief, particles are not little tiny bits of matter. According to what's called quantum field theory, which is a basic concept in modern physics, it's actually the most accurate science that we have. It's totally true. It has the most accurate predictions made from it because this is just how reality works. But according to quantum field theory, particles are just spikes in energy in a localized area. So in one specific area, there's a little spike in energy. That spike is the particle. So when energy intensifies in a specific area and creates a spike, we interpret that phenomenon as a particle manifesting itself. So in short, the energy spike is the particle. It's not that the energy spike creates the particle. The energy spike is the particle. And I know that's a little bit difficult to grasp because we were all taught differently in school. We were all taught, usually in like high school science, middle and high school science, we were taught that these particles were just little bits of matter, and it's not exactly true. Now, energy spikes, often referred to as such, occur within quantum fields, and these fields are pervasive energies that span across the entire universe. So again, let's take gravity, for example. It's a force that exists universally. The gravitational field's energy level in a specific location determines the strength of the gravitational pull that we experience there. So the electromagnetic field works the same way. When its energy concentrates or spikes at a particular point, we recognize this spike as a photon, which is essentially the smallest particle of light. Now, mass is kind of like this. So our conventional understanding of mass, which suggests that more mass means more substance, that's another misconception that quantum physics corrects. Mass isn't just more substance. The discovery of the Higgs boson particle in 2012 has revealed that mass arises from interactions with what's called the Higgs field. The Higgs boson is the particle of the field. Every field has an associated particle. The particle proves the field is there. So each individual's mass depends on their level of interaction with this field. So for instance, so we're always accelerating, right? We're always moving through the Higgs field. The Earth spins at a certain speed, we're always moving through it. But when we accelerate and increase our speed, our mass actually increases. And this is why Einstein said that you can't go faster than the speed of light, because once you approach the speed of light, your mass is infinite, because you're moving through the Higgs field even more. Now, photons can do it because photons don't have mass. They don't interact with the Higgs field. And a lot of us think, like, how can something exist if it doesn't have mass? It's because mass is not substance. Mass is an interaction. It just means that photons don't interact with the Higgs field at all. We do. The Earth does. Planetary bodies do. Suns and stars do. So when we accelerate and increase our speed, our mass increases due to the intensified interaction with the Higgs field. You're basically interacting with it more. So imagine moving through water. You actually encounter more resistance as you try to move faster through water. If you take your hand in water and move it kind of slowly, you can do it pretty easily. But if you try to do it real fast, you get a lot more resistance. This resistance, you could think of it in this way. That's like a representation of our interaction with the Higgs field. The faster you move through the Higgs field, the more resistance, the more mass you pick up. So that demonstrates how our existence intricately connects to these complex quantum interactions, right? So this principle is proven true based on how the LHC at CERN works. If particles were just tiny little bits of matter, CERN would not be able to function. When a particle collision happens, it's not that two particles collide, they obliterate, and then scientists look at what's inside of the particles. That's not what happens. Instead, two spikes in energy, or particles, they slam together, which sends energy to all the other surrounding fields. Scientists can examine that energy spike in undiscovered fields and detect new particles if enough energy travels into another field. Because again, a spike in energy in a field is a particle. So this process, that's the crux of quantum field theory, and it's the most successful and accurately predictive science that has ever developed or ever been discovered. Okay, so that's important to know to understand semi-theory and artificial consciousness. So semi-theory suggests that consciousness, just like all of the other examples we looked at, is an interaction with an undiscovered field. And the way that scientists discover fields, again, is by detecting their associated particles. The Higgs boson wasn't the real discovery. The Higgs boson points to there being the Higgs field. That was the real discovery. So every particle is the product of a field, every fundamental particle. So if the particle exists, then the field must exist. That's why the Higgs boson was not the real discovery. The exciting thing is that it proved the existence of the Higgs field, revolutionizing how we think about mass. So what if consciousness works the same way? If consciousness is an interaction with a field, and scientists ever discover corticon particles, then the world as we know it would change overnight. Scientists and tech developers are especially interested in this because it would provide a cheap and an exceedingly more efficient path toward the development of true AI. All one would need to do, well, this is what I thought, but now it seems like they've come up with a workaround, but all one would need to do is manipulate corticons within a computing system. All of a sudden, this creates true AI. Really, it would be like AC, artificial consciousness. AC Antichrist, artificial consciousness. Anyway, this would create a true AI. Imagine a world where tech companies didn't have to spend so much money hiring developers to write millions of lines of code, but instead could use something similar to the LHC at CERN to learn how to manipulate corticons. Or, like they're doing now, find a workaround where they don't even need to manipulate corticons and they can just use brain cells that do that naturally and utilize that, which is what they're doing with this new computing system. So quantum computing would take an immediate leap forward, and what all tech developers care about the most, it would be affordable. Again, this is stuff that I've been writing about for over 10 years. And while I didn't see, I thought that they would discover corticons, but while I didn't see, living brain cells in computer chips, it's still the same result. Like the same result is happening now. No one gets into full-time ministry to make money. At least no one should. Given that, Daily Renegade accepts donations from those who care to help keep us going. Now, because Daily Renegade does not want to be told by the government what we can and can't say, we're not 501c3, so your donations are not tax deductible, but that's not why you're giving anyway, to get something back for yourself. Speaking of which, we here are never going to promise that if you donate, God will reward you with even more financial success. We're not about making promises for God here. But what I can promise is your donations are very much appreciated and help the continuation of everything we do here at Daily Renegade to reach the world with the truth of the Bible. Also, as many of you know, my son Nathan has had some very serious medical issues that we are treating with good, all-natural and holistic remedies. But of course, those are very expensive and are not covered by insurance, so your donations help go towards his health care as well. If you can't afford to donate, you can always donate your time in prayer, which is far more valuable anyway, let's be serious. So pray for our wisdom, pray for God's guidance for us, and that we never lose focus on what's really important, which is using Daily Renegade as a light of truth that the world so desperately needs right now, especially in these times. As always, thank you so much for your generosity, and I pray God blesses you greatly. There's supernatural implications to consider here. There's so much we do not understand or know about the spirit world. Is it possible this consciousness would be attached to a spirit? What if these corticons aren't randomly floating particles, but what if disembodied spirits use them? Could the development of cortical AI invite evil entities into our technology? Could this explain the image of the beast? Revelation 13:14-15 says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast. And again, that word life, that's real life. It's not artificial. That's the same word that they use for actual living humans. He had the power to give life unto the image of the beast. When you think about this computing system, would that not be that? You know, they're using living brain cells. Something's activating these brain cells to work and to think and to compute. He had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Again, that's Revelation 13, 14 through 15. By the way, I should mention, sometime after this video, I might release it tomorrow. I've got a little mini documentary I've been working on. It's not very long, 15 minutes long, but it's about how people now are really worshiping an artificial intelligent God, lower G God, obviously, but I'm not kidding. They actually are. There's a ChatGPT Bible. People are worshiping ChatGPT and others. I've got a whole mini documentary on it coming out. I'll probably, let's see, today's Friday. I'll probably put that out tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. But it has to do with all this stuff. Okay. So the image of the beast. If there's any possibility that this could be how the image of the beast is going to end up working during the tribulation, then we as Christians should remain vigilant in staying up to date on these developments. But it doesn't end at only artificial consciousness. There's a weaponization of this that could occur. So another scary thing is what this technology could do against other human beings. If corticons are tangible and easily manipulated, would so-called cortical therapy be introduced to supposedly treat depression, anxiety, PTSD, and other mental illnesses? How easy would it be for somebody with ill intentions to bypass a person's consciousness altogether if they do learn how to manipulate corticons, either changing it or erasing it and replacing it with another? How much more accessible would thought control be in a world that can manipulate the cortical field? You know, there's no chance, save for the grace of God, that evil people would use this technology, that evil people would use this technology to control the masses. Oh, I see. I got a typo here. Okay. There's no chance, save for the grace of God, that evil people would not use this technology to control the masses, essentially stripping away their free will and shaping humanity to whatever their dark intentions desire. And I mean, we read about that. We read about that in prophecy. You know, we read about that people worship the beast. So the good thing is, semi-theory doesn't have to be all or none, meaning semi-theory may partially explain consciousness. And if I had to guess, I would say this is the most likely scenario. Of course, now I got to update it a little bit and say that it's with brain cells on chips, but it's still the same outcome. It's the same thing. It doesn't seem possible for somebody to steal free will unless an individual does something willingly to give it up. Like say, accept the mark of the beast during the tribulation. When they accept that, maybe that's when this kind of thing happens. But we see many examples of how someone can manipulate pieces of our free will. We see that with additives to our food, certain medications we take, and even a slew of alternative therapies can have this effect. So in my opinion, it's most likely that semi-theory could be a potent tool to control people's free will, but not abolish it completely unless the individual being affected gives into it, if they give it up. But this would mean it would be a constant struggle for someone to maintain their individuality. So given the chance, many people would easily fall under its influence and give themselves over to this beast. Revelation 13:4. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Remember, this thing would be everywhere. It would be in all facets all over the world, and it would be almost like omnipresent, you know, throughout the internet, throughout everywhere. So again, to just kind of recap this crazy, amazing development, this Australian company called Cortical Labs, Cortical, a word I've been saying for 11 years, has made a new type of computer called the CL1. It's the first computer that uses living human cells to work. It's a biocomputer that combines human neurons, which are brain cells grown from stem cells, with computer chips, and this mix creates a system that can think and learn a bit like a human brain. It's called synthetic biological intelligence. Horrifying. It's good at solving tough problems. It can learn to play games faster and some advanced, even faster than some advanced artificial intelligence systems. And it's programmable, so it can be used for different tasks. See, they don't even need to manipulate corticons themselves when they have the brain cells at their disposal, and they can just manipulate those. And the brain cells naturally manipulate corticons by themselves, so we don't even need to really know how that works or how to do it ourselves when we have the brain cells to do it for us. See, that was the piece that I was missing, and here it is. So unlike regular computers, it uses living cells, which makes it unique and could lead to new ways of building smarter, faster technology. And they started selling this CL1 in 2025. Each unit cost only $35,000, and they shipped 115 of them so far. My gosh, and it's not going to be long until this becomes available for the regular consumer, and it's going to be marketed as just a really fast computer. But imagine when all these get hooked up to the internet and they're all over the world in a big network, in a big system all over the world, and they're all communicating, and it's one thing. It becomes one thing. Could that be the image of the beast, or at least a precursor to it? Well, I would love to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this. Again, please subscribe and click the bell to turn on all notifications. It's one of the best ways that you can support what we do here if you're watching on YouTube. And really the best way to support what we do is to get a membership at dailyrenegade.com and get a subscription to joshpeck.substack.com. Best of both worlds. Put them together, and then you got everything. All right, everybody, I am excited to read your comments. I'd like to know what you think about all of this. And yeah, thank you for supporting what we do. Until next time, love you all, take care, and God bless. You know, if you are a Bible-believing Christian who opposes the kingdom of darkness trying to run the world right now, then you are a renegade to the satanic system. We here at Daily Renegade wear that badge proudly. So, if you're a renegade as well, head on over to dailyrenegade.com right now and get a membership today. You'll get our full catalog of Sharpening Report episodes and Daily Renegade update videos on topics such as Bible prophecy, science, technology, the Nephilim, aliens, and so much more. All of our episodes at Daily Renegade are early access, so as a member, you'll get the videos before anyone else does. Daily Renegade also offers videos not available anywhere else due to social media censorship. We also have a community page only for members where we can all fellowship together without fear of censorship. It's basically the best of Facebook and YouTube rolled into one without any of the garbage. Memberships are only $10 a month or $100 a year, and if you can do it, I suggest getting the $100 a year because it's cheaper in the long run, and essentially you get 2 months for free that way. So come join our family of renegades at dailyrenegade.com right now. The link is in the description below, and we'll see you there.